I believe that mental health needs to be integrated into every stage of care. So from early diagnosis to ongoing treatment. And ultimately, I would like MS research and treatment to give patients hope, hope for a future where they can live fully, maintain their autonomy, and thrive both physically and mentally.
Hello, you're watching Proactive. I'm joined by Immunic Chief Scientific Officer, Dr. Hella Kohlhof. Hella, very good to speak with you. It's World Mental Health Day today. As Chief Scientific Officer of Immunic, why is it important for you to speak about mental health, and how do you see it connected to MS, for example?
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a strong connection between mental health and multiple sclerosis. So these patients face serious consequences for their day-to-day life, and which includes physical and cognitive disabilities, but also limitations in their social life and psychological and mental consequences. So, for example, people with MS face a much higher rate of depression and anxiety. So there was a large meta-analysis done, and in this it was found that around 30% of the patients experience depression and around 20% experience anxiety. So these challenges are often invisible to the world outside, but have a huge impact on daily life and overall well-being. So, which is why the World Mental Health Day is really a reminder to shine a light on them. And it's important to treat multiple sclerosis as more than just a neurological or physical disease. So the fear and emotional burden are real. And recognizing mental health as part of MS care can reduce shame, help patients to get early support, and improve the overall outcomes.
One of the biggest fears of MS patients is losing their independence, and that's a concern that can have a major impact on mental health. How does Immunic's research give patients hope that disability can be avoided or delayed?
That's true. Independence is a big topic, and a big fear for many MS patients is the possibility of ending up in a wheelchair or experiencing physical and cognitive impairments that lead to losing their independence. And this is particularly concerning because MS is often diagnosed at a young age. And for example, it affects many women. And if it's a woman who is just starting the career or planning a family, so the fear of losing autonomy as at such a pivotal stage of life can take a heavy toll on mental health. So recognizing and addressing these challenges is crucial, as it can make a real difference in patients' quality of life. And at Immunic, our research focuses really on slowing disease progression. So including progression independent of relapse. It's a so-called PIRA. And latest research has shown that PIRA is responsible for at least 50% of disability accumulation, even in patients suffering from relapsing-remitting forms of MS. And fortunately, we have seen positive data for PIRA in our clinical trials. So one example is our phase 2 clinical trial emphasis with vidofludimus calcium in relapsing-remitting MS, where in the long-term open-label extension phase, that was up to 4 years so far, only a small number of patients experienced PIRA. So by targeting the underlying smoldering processes that drive a disability early, we aim to give patients hope that they can maintain function and autonomy for longer. So preserving physical abilities also directly supports mental well-being, helping to reduce anxiety and fear about the future.
Hella, for patients with progressive forms of MS, maintaining mental well-being can be particularly challenging, given the limited treatment options currently available. How's Immunic working to help change this outlook?
Yeah, unfortunately, studies show that over 50% of individuals with primary progressive MS, that's PPMS, a form of progressive MS that is characterized by steady worsening of the symptoms without any relapses. So in 50% of these individuals, they experience depressive symptoms, and these patients are particularly vulnerable to even more severe mental health challenges. So these challenges are compounded by the fact that there are currently almost no effective treatments for progressive MS. There's only one medication approved for the PPMS subform, and it's understandable that patients can feel a sense of hopelessness, which underscores the urgent need for new therapeutic approaches. And at Immunic, we are really dedicated to addressing these unmet needs of patients with all forms of multiple sclerosis. So our research focuses on developing therapies that target the underlying mechanism driving disease progression, with the goal of slowing or halting the progression. And while currently available treatments for all forms of MS are highly effective at preventing relapses, but patients with progressive MS, they do not experience relapses. And our approach really aims to not only preserve physical function, but also to reduce the mental health burden that comes with uncertainty and disability. And with our development program in progressive MS, so our phase 2 caliper data with vidofludimus calcium in PMS just recently read out positive data. So with our program here in progressive MS, we specifically aim to give these patients, which have currently the highest unmet medical need, hope for a future where the effective treatment is available and their condition can be managed more effectively, supporting both physical and mental well-being.
Looking ahead, Hella, what's your personal vision for the future of MS treatment when it comes to supporting not only physical health, but also mental well-being?
So my vision for the future of MS treatments is one where patients' lives are considered in their entirety. So not just physical symptoms. And we need an effective, safe, well-tolerable, and easy-to-use treatment for all forms of multiple sclerosis and for all signs and symptoms of multiple sclerosis. And of course, a clinical study that shows a statistically significant improvement for many patients is absolutely essential for the patients, but also for the future of our company and for all stakeholders. But to be honest, what motivates and enriches me personally are the positive stories of individual patients who experience an improvement in their lives thanks to our medication. And coming back to the topic of the day, so the World Mental Health Day, I believe that mental health needs to be integrated into every stage of care. So from early diagnosis to ongoing treatment. And ultimately, I would like MS research and treatment to give patients hope for a future where they can live fully, maintain their autonomy, and thrive both physically and mentally.
Hella, thank you very much for your insights, and I'm sure you'll keep us posted on progress with your treatments. Thanks for speaking with us today.
Thank you.
Dr. Hella Kohlhof is Chief Scientific Officer at Immunic.